Okay. Oh, so you had already stopped playing the bass?
Yeah, I picked it up when I was 12.
Right.
And, self-taught, taught how to play the bass.
Okay.
And, so, I just did.
Okay, there we go. Thank you, Brother Richard, for sitting down once again for Behind the Final Call cover story. The date on the paper is November 12th, 2019, volume number 39, number 5. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Richard.
Alaikum salam, sir. Thanks for having me.
Once praise you to Allah. Once again, why this cover story, Raging Inferno?
Well, we know there's been a tremendous amount of destruction in California at the hands of these fires. But largely fueling the fires has been these hot winds that help to ignite already dangerous conditions. So thousands of acres, some lives lost, millions of dollars in property damage and structures. So, generally when you have these extreme weather events, they're called quote unquote acts of God. We wanted to explore this from the position and thinking of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his warning that we are living in the day of judgment, and that all the things we read about in the Bible and the Holy Quran about God using the forces of nature against the wicked is actually being fulfilled. It's actually happening right now, in particular with the United States of America, who God said is number one on his list to be destroyed. So we continue to try to do those stories that bring light, life, and power to our people, that bear witness not only to the problems, but that also point us to the solutions, that encourage us to read what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, to consider and read what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, then come to a point of decision. But you can't do that intelligently if you have not amassed any information.
Yes, sir. Thank you. One of the recent events, and actually I didn't realize that it was online, I had the opportunity to take a quick peek of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in Washington, D.C. Very historical event. Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan had the opportunity to share a little time with one of his good friends, Reverend Willie Wilson. Can you share a little bit with us about that?
Well, Reverend Willie Wilson has been serving in the Anacostia neighborhood of Washington, D.C., or the southeast, or the southeast D.C. One of the poorest, the blackest areas in the city, probably the blackest, unless gentrification have changed what has historically been the place. So for 46 years, almost 50 years, Reverend Wilson has led in that community. He leads the Union Temple Baptist Church, very Afrocentric, very progressive. So there was a banquet held in his honor, and so the minister was there among those who thanked Reverend Wilson for his work. So we wanted to display that and to get into a little bit about Reverend Wilson and his history, his legacy. So we hope folks will visit finalcall.com and pick up a copy of the paper and read all about it for yourselves. I was saying online earlier that the Washington Post did kind of a profile, but it's like even when they are quote unquote highlighting us, there's always to me an element of mockery and an element of undermining whatever this person is. So you won't get that in the final call. And we did a few stories this week about Reverend Wilson and his legacy and his life and his work, and I think they're worthy of reading.
Yes, sir. Praise you to Allah. I actually took some time. I haven't had a chance to read our article and our coverage of Byron Allen, but very interesting things going on as it relates to him, Comcast, the Department of Justice.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about our coverage?
I mean, this is a pretty interesting story. Byron Allen, some of us may remember him as a comedian who hosted a very late night show with other comedians. But in addition to that, this man has amassed an estimated $1 billion, I believe, in media entities that he has bought. Online stations, regular TV stations, movie production company, movie distribution company. So he's in a fight with Comcast and Charter Communications. Essentially, he's saying they discriminated against him because of his race in terms of his ability to get space on their channels. He provides programming. They have the infrastructure, the networks, in order to connect that programming with people, right? So one of the things that Byron Allen points out, and one of the things that civil rights groups and others have noted is this: there's a post-Civil War era law. So you're talking about the 1860s, about 130 something years, right?
Yeah, so I got introduced to the
This law was implemented after emancipation and was supposed to ensure that blacks were treated properly in terms of contracting and being able to do business. So essentially, Mr. Allen has won a couple lower court decisions, and this case will now go before the Supreme Court. The thing that's interesting is, according to Mr. Allen, Comcast in particular has expanded this lawsuit. This was just a dispute between businesses. But now Comcast is alleging, according to Mr. Allen, that Comcast is, according to Mr. Allen, basically challenging this really important historic civil rights law connected with economics. And there's a fear in the NAACP, the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund, Color of Change, and a number of different black and progressive groups have joined in terms of filing briefs that support Byron Allen and what he's saying. It comes down to this. According to Mr. Allen, Comcast is trying to make the argument that race is, that in order for this law to be applied, right, race has to be the only factor.
Right.
100%. Very difficult to prove in a court of law. Versus the early interpretations, race was among factors. Any type of discrimination based on race is illegal. So why would the standard need to be proving 100% versus proving this instance, this record of being biased should be enough. So it's a very interesting case. You should read the piece written by one of our contributing writers, Barrington Salmon. And so that case will literally, inshallah, be heard by the Supreme Court November 13th. So, we need to stay informed. And I mean, I wrote an editorial on page 16 connected with this. And one of the arguments that I made was, we are either full and complete citizens or we're not. We have the right to do and transact business or we don't. We count us all in or count us out. But the false promises and the shimmy sham and the peekaboo and the hide and seek and all these games and 3-card Monte and all of this, it's time out for that. In particular, in this case, because generally when we think of civil rights protections, we think about access to education, access to restaurants, restrooms, access to jobs. This law goes to the heart of probably the way that you actually exert some freedom and some control in America, which is based on what you own, the business you can do, what you produce, what you can buy and sell, right? We know that money is essential for politics. We know that politics, they say, is the art of determining who gets what. We know that money is connected with the building of independent black institutions. We know that money is connected with, when you have a progressive vision, being able to put the resources behind that vision. So if this important tool is eliminated or weakened or eviscerated, what does that say? To me, it says clearly, if they move in the way that this right-leaning court, we suspect they might. Donald Trump's Justice Department has also entered this case. They have filed briefs in support of Comcast. I mean, think about, they have, instead of protecting the law, they are now getting involved, and they are now going to get involved in supporting an argument that essentially weakens a major civil rights protection. So in the editorial, I argue, look, count us in or count us out, man. And it's really not so much about them counting us in or counting us out, because they basically count us. They have counted us out. It is about our recognition as a people that we cannot continue to be economic units. We cannot continue to be beggars. We cannot continue to be impoverished and unable to give our children opportunity, opening the doors for evil, indecency, and crime. So our hope is that people will read the article, read the editorial, give us some thought, and see where you come out on that case. But it's a very important situation, and we need to monitor it.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of people in our community are signing on to support Byron Allen.
Yes, sir.
Very successful black entrepreneur.
Owns the Weather Channel. Very impressive story on what's going on with that situation. Let's move a little to international news. We have Russia-Africa Summit includes promises of assistance without any preconditions. Yeah. That's something new. Well,
hopefully it's true also. You know, we know that in this world, very little comes without some kind of condition. Even if it's not a precondition, it is still some kind of condition. The question is, what are the terms and conditions? And are those terms and conditions favorable to you or to Africa in this case, in terms of these partnerships with Russia? We know that the terms have not been favorable when it comes to the Western and the former colonial powers in Africa. So this was a major summit, major meeting, talking about building relationships, talking about doing business, talking about economics, talking about development of the continent as Russia moves to assert a certain amount of power. So we wanted to explore this and give people a chance to kind of consider it. Interesting thing is this, and this is written by Brother Jaron Muhammad. It's part of a regular feature. Well, it's in a regular feature that we call Africa Watch by Jaron Muhammad. So the interesting thing is that many in the Western press are now saying, wow, look at Russia, they're poised to exploit Africa. But who's speaking? Those who have raped, pillaged, exported, and destroyed Africa for centuries. So we wanted to show this developing phenomenon. We also know that historically, it wasn't the West that supported African liberation struggle. It was not the Western countries that supported the end of apartheid in South Africa. They didn't offer arms, they didn't offer training, they didn't offer education. Russia did to a degree. Cuba definitely did. So we're hoping that our people will, again, take a look, read, and then again decide for themselves what they think is wise and good for us and good for the motherland.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm looking at the comments coming in, and yes, we are live right here at the Foodie Spot, 7350 South Stony Island. Of course, hey, our people are here getting their food on, getting their grub on, and all of that good stuff. So we thank you for your support. Please share on social media that we're live right now, and we'll be looking for some questions as we close out towards the end. But of course, we had coverage before on our brother John Conyers. Can you give us a little information on?
Well, we have a preliminary story on November 4th. We had funeral services for former Congressman John Conyers, right? Who passed away and who is now, major funeral service in Detroit. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was there. Michael Eric Dyson, the preacher and law and college professor, spoke, and he did the eulogy for Dr. Dyson, and a lot of people were there, members of the Congressional Black Caucus, Governor of Michigan, other elected officials, activists, Stevie Wonder, I mean, just a very fitting tribute to a man who served our community and served this country well in the halls of Congress. He worked tirelessly for passage of the Martin Luther King birthday holiday. He was an advocate and supporter of jazz and the survival and thriving of jazz. He authored and pressed for, I don't know, maybe 30 years, H.R. 40, which is a bill that, if passed, would set up a commission to study slavery and whether or not reparations should be in order, along with other things. I mean, he was an advocate for civil liberties. So we just did our preliminary coverage here. Reverend Jesse Jackson was there at the funeral. Former President Bill Clinton was there. And again, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was there. Actually, the first time the minister spoke or participated in a Congressional Black Caucus forum, it was in 1989. And the topic was reparations, and the session was sponsored by Congressman John Conyers.
Wow.
So yeah, this is our preliminary coverage. Look for more to come.
Yes, sir. Thank you. There's a lot going on internationally, and it's just a sign of the time of the end of this world coming.
Yeah.
War and rumors of war. We have nations against nations, and we have even civil war in many instances.
Absolutely.
We have countries that are just rising up. The people are dissatisfied with the status quo and what's been going on, how things have been changing, and all of that. So can you give us a little bit what's going on?
Well, we got a situation in Lebanon where there's some unrest, and the prime minister has now resigned. You know, there has been this kind of struggle in Lebanon for years. Christians and Muslims trying to figure out, issues of power, issues of power sharing, and this thing just continues. These political tensions come up, so they're rising again there. But one of the most important stories is one out of Afghanistan. This is by Human Rights Watch, and it found that these Afghan special forces and Afghan soldiers trained by the U.S. have been going in and committing atrocities among the people of Afghanistan. So when you look, this is again kind of, we've seen this pattern over and over again. The U.S. goes in ostensibly in the name of going to bring peace, and they train surrogates and they train soldiers to fight, and these soldiers end up being the enemies of their own people. They end up being a proxy army for America. So, I mean, this is really with the tacit or explicit backing of American commanders, forces, etc. So we hope that folks will take a minute to read this. It's a really important thing. And when you look at efforts to try to bring peace to Afghanistan, this is one of the reasons why it's so difficult. America, I think, has been in Afghanistan about 18 years now. 18 years, that's almost a whole generation. No end in sight almost. No real peace in the country. So this is one of the reasons. Atrocities being committed by Afghan forces trained by the United States. Not a new revelation, but not a new pattern for the United States.
Yes, sir. Well, my eyes are looking right at the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's article. America's Falling, Her Doom is Sealed. Man, it's good to read the article in the paper from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but this comes from Message to the Black Man. So you should actually get the whole book. Book. Yeah. It's definitely always valuable information, in particular from Message to the Black Man, but even in many instances right now, the fall of America.
Yeah.
As you're reading and looking through the fall of America, sometimes I look at it and I'm like, this stuff wasn't even happening then.
Yeah.
The book is written for right now today.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you have a divine man and a prophetic voice, you know, prophecy is that which will occur. And we're taught that in Scripture there are signs, there are indicators, but those signs and indicators point you to a future event and a future development. It's like if you're on the highway and the sign says Chicago 5 miles, you don't stop at the sign. The sign lets you know you're headed into the right direction, and you follow those signs till you meet your ultimate destination. So likewise in Scripture, there's signs of what has happened in the past. And with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in articles like this, you really have even more than signs. You have explanations and exegesis of what these signs in Scripture mean, what these passages mean for today in very plain, simple, but very important language. I believe he said that he would make the truth so plain. They will be hard for a fool to misunderstand. And we, under the miseducation of our enemies, have been a foolish people. So this article lays out why America is falling. It lays out how America is falling. And it lays out the tools that the God, excuse me, will use today to bring America to its knees. So it's a very important piece. And we say everybody should read it and get the books. Store.finalcall.com. You can get all the products.
Yes, sir.
Very good investment.
Of course, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's article, which is God is using the forces of nature to humble America, just really stressing that same point on what's going on right now in this day and time.
Yeah, and very key, man. I mean, it's very key that we understand the time, that we are living in the change of worlds. We're living in what is referred to as the day of judgment or the last days, as you said, the end of the world, not the end of the planet.
Right.
The planet Earth has never disobeyed God, but there's been a rebellious people and a rebellious type of civilization that has spread evil all over the planet. And the leader and power of that civilization has been Caucasian people. I don't think anybody can argue that. So we're at a point now, and if you look at Scripture, if you believe that nations were judged yesterday for their evil, the question becomes, can America get away? And if America gets away, is that fair to everybody else that got punished? So to me, it's a very logical argument, very sound argument. So you really got a great 1-2 in terms of getting information, things you can consider and research. So you have the message by the minister, God is using the forces of nature to humble America on one hand, and you got from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, America's falling, her doom is sealed. So these two articles together really give you a great understanding of what's going on. So we hope folks will check them both out.
Yes, sir. And of
Read
course,
them in tandem.
And even since we brought up the books of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and of course are speaking of his representative in our midst, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, always want to make sure that you read the article. And I just, of course, this is just a teaser. Mm-hmm. Because if you're not convinced already that what we're giving you is life, and energy, or light, life, and power, mm-hmm. I mean, you just got to try it. So make sure you read the article, Abundance of Life, from How to Eat to Live, but get the book, How to Eat to Live, at store.finalcall.com. So we got Black Minds Cultivating Black Power. One of our brothers, Dr. Boyce Watkins, was there at the All Black National Convention.
Organized the All Black National Convention. So this is a nice little feature by a young sister out of Atlanta, Sister Aziza, one of our up-and-coming writers we hope to continue to develop. But check it out, see what that's about. We always want to bring good news and show that black people are doing progressive things to unify our community and to make us better.
So I went through many of the articles. I skipped over a lot. There is definitely a lot of coverage on the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's visit to D.C. What else do we need to touch on?
Well, I think the main thing is continue to support an institution that supports you. We've got a great story, actually on page 6, about the work of Camila Muhammad, who is actually the daughter of our former editor, James G. Muhammad. She's got a foundation. She's a member of the great Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and her group went to Haiti to help do some work there. I mean, so really, really great young woman, and you know, it's always good to show the quality of work, the hearts, the commitment of young black folks that are doing things.
Yes, sir.
To bring a change in the world. So we know our former editor is proud, and we're very proud to be able to tell the story of Camila and what she's doing. And they're working out in Haiti, which is near and dear to my heart. And that's only one place, because they do other things other places as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm going to look and see if we have any quick questions before we close out. And I want to thank all of those who have joined us. There's I see my brother Michael Muhammad right here in Chicago. I see Jersey Muhammad. But are there any questions before we shut down? If not, going once, going twice, and of course somebody just said the holidays that are up and coming. We want to remember that the justice, or else it wasn't a moment, it's a movement. We're still boycotting these holiday seasons. We want to make sure that we're putting the money that we would normally put, unfortunately, into this economy, that we're finding ways to redistribute the pain, and we're taking those resources and putting it in our community so we can make our community a decent place to live.
They started advertising for Christmas already.
Yes, sir.
We haven't even had Thanksgiving. So I think that should be a sign of two things: the continued greed and this attempt to mislead and misuse people, but also they got problems. And this effort, I guess, started almost 5 years ago now, right? 4 years ago, it'll be 5 years next year, I think. It's having an impact. Mm-hmm. It's having an impact. So we should reject spending in that way. If we're going to spend, we should spend with one another. But the minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, said, and has said repeatedly, that the best gift we could give one another is the beauty of one another's company, prayers for one another, because those are gifts that go deep and touch the soul. And those gifts are, you know, they last a long time. You know, like the stuff that you buy today and is broke tomorrow, you know?
Yes, sir. Well, we're not going to hold you, but we thank you for joining us once again.
And they need to like this, and they need to get the notifications and all of that stuff.
Like, subscribe, get notifications, share all of that
That's
stuff.
Right.
So until next time, behind the final cover story, thank you for joining us. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.